We'll start things off in the WIAC. River Falls, our team of the week because of the performance that they had against Whitewater. 52-14, the Top Gun offense from Coach Matheson and company. They show up and show out in a big way against a top caliber conference foe. They snap a 22-game losing streak to Whitewater, the first win over the Warhawks for the Falcons since 2001, which is the year I was born, for the record.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely have a lot to say about this, and it was a very emotional day for me, for alumni, for guys that are on that team, the coaches. And I think it's emotional not just because you snap a losing streak, but because of now where this program is at. And this is a collection of effort of a lot of people over the course of 14 years since Coach Walker took over. Coach Walker hadn't beat Whitewater up to this point in his career at River Falls. Mm-hmm. And, the thing about Coach Walker which is the reason why I even feel emotional about this win, is because if you're the dang fifth string kicker or you're Caleb Blaha breaking all these records, he makes you feel like you are 100% a part of that victory. And so if you played for him 10 years ago, or you're a freshman, you feel like you had something to do with this, and he makes you feel that way. And that's just the culture that has just been created over all of these years. And it took a long time. I mean, they had 0-10 seasons. They had seasons where they were 2-8 and lost, and were in every single game, but lost 8 of those games. And, for me personally, man, it brought me to tears seeing those guys finally get over that Whitewater hump and beat these guys as handily as they did. And I can't say enough about Coach Matheson, Coach Wissing on defense, Coach Wood, who coaches their defensive back, Coach Emery, Coach Parker. I mean, I could go on and on about all of those coaches. I think one thing they've always done is they've been really good at being boring. And Coach Walker's talked about this before. Being boring, like it's doing the little things right over and over again. And I think one of the things that Coach Walker has said over and over again is do those little things right. Be boring. Like put the same gray shirt on with the same black shorts and show up to weights every single day. But here's the thing now. Guess what? Like, as emotional as this game was, you still got to go out and play one of the best teams in the entire country this weekend.
No weeks off.
And this is a text that I had from Coach Walker, and he said, at the same time, as historic and as special as it was, as much emotion as I was having, it's been very businesslike and very crossed it off the list to get onto lacrosse feel for our guys. So, like, yes, it was emotional, made everybody cry, but man, it's time to flip that switch and get ready to go back to war, because it's time to go clinch that conference title, baby.
Yeah, the fact that they're in this seat right now is a very impressive one. You look at the way the trajectory of that team and that program changed and shifted last year after the Blaha injury, to see him back at the helm running this offense with the familiarity he has with it, and the rest of the incredible pieces. That defense has stepped up in very big ways along the way for this squad in 2025, and another team playing at a very incredible clip. Let's talk about the Blue Jays, man. Johns Hopkins, we know about North Central. We know about Mount Union. JHU has put themselves kind of, dare I say, in the same category. I think the poll has kind of reflected it as well. The Blue Jays, they pick up a big one. They stay perfect. 47-26 win over Muhlenberg this weekend, Jimmy.
Yeah, so I got a stat for you guys. In their last 55 regular season games in November, they're 50-5. So what that tells me is that when it comes down to crunch time and the games get really big at the end of the regular season, these guys are always ready to play. Nonetheless, they're 30-5 in their last 35 road games also. So they're getting it done on the road in a big way. Thanks to Jeff Schrader, 232 rushing yards in the victory over Muhlenberg. That is a career high and the most for a Johns Hopkins player since 2012. Bay Harvey also righted the ship with 109 rushing yards and 2 scores on the ground, 8 for 12 with 120 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air as well, the Cole Crotty. They ran for 356 yards this weekend.
My goodness.
Yeah. 356 yards. And this Muhlenberg team is scrappy. These guys are pretty good. And, I mean, at one point it was a 1-score game in the second half, and they're all like, ooh, is Muhlenberg going to pull this one off? Like, what's going on here? And But Johns Hopkins is just they're on another level this year. Simply put, like they're having a hell of a season, and you got to give a lot of credit to that offensive line. We've talked about it all year how dominant this offensive line is, and it's the main reason why this run game is so great too. You got to talk about the boys up front.
100%.
They've always had good quarterback play too. I mean, you go back years and years and years. I mean, obviously Johns Hopkins, phenomenal institution. Couldn't have got into it myself, but like they just continue to push out these really smart, tough, talented quarterbacks.
Yeah, man, it's been one impressive win after another for them in the Centennial, and you look at the way they've been able to do it, too, kind of in a variety of ways. Maybe not, we talk about this, a lot of them have been kind of pretty buttoned up wire-to-wire wins. There's been some other ones where they've gotten punched in the mouth early on, and they've had to come back and struggle and scrap their way back into some of these games. But they are not one of the teams that have already clinched 3 of the 27 AQ's automatic bids into Division III football national playoff. These 3 teams, fellas, a couple of which maybe didn't expect them to clinch so early on. You would have thought maybe some of those top 15, top 10 teams would be on that list. Wartburg, of course, being the exception here. But Concordia, Wisconsin, Hanover, those 2 squads also grabbing bids to the national dance already.
Yeah, there's still a lot of ball that you still got to play, still a lot of automatic qualifiers still to be handed out. But, you know, if you're one of these teams, you know, Concordia, Wisconsin, Wartburg, or Hanover, you can't necessarily take a breath, but you can sure sleep easy at night now, knowing that you're going to be in the dance now. You know, with the American Rivers Conference, I'm really curious to see what's going to happen there. Who's going to get that, you know, that the at-large, that Pool C bid.
Mm-hmm.
It's really going to probably come down to Co and Central, which it obviously is, in Week 10, unless there's a team down there in Indianola that can play spoiler this week. I'm hoping so. But I'll be interested to see which one of those 2 teams comes out of the American Rivers Conference now that Wartburg's for sure sealed that thing up.
100%. You're looking at now a team in Hanover that went and beat Alma earlier, if I'm not mistaken, in the season. And that we honestly, depending on how things could shake out, we could see a rematch between them and the Scots in the first couple rounds of the playoffs. So that would be an interesting one, an interesting storyline for sure in our neck of the woods in the Midwest. Concordia, Wisconsin has gone on and dominated that conference in a year that Aurora's kind of been down and out. And then Wartburg, I mean, we kind of thought Wartburg might have a little bit of a down depending on how they handled some of the teams they were supposed to go out and beat by a large margin earlier in the season. But the calling card of this Wartburg Knights team has never been a high-powered, explosive offense. It has been a gritty defense that you hate to see in November and December. So that is certainly living up to the billing if you're a Knights fan. And those teams have solidified their spot in the dance, fellas. A lot, like you said, though, a lot of football to be played, a lot more to be clinched. And then, of course, we get into MPI, the everyone's favorite number and metric when we get to determine the at-large bids, the Pool C, if you will, of D3 football.